All right, I'll start as soon as some peeps join. It's just us for now. Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for being here with Amber and I today. I see a Jessica, a Reagan, and a handful of other people. So if you guys will take a second in the questions or the chat, if you'll just let us know where you guys are calling in from. We love to see where everyone is located. And one of my friends just joined. Hi, Chrissy. Okay, Atlanta, Georgia. Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Port St. Lucie, Florida. Okay, we are located. Hi, guys. I'm so glad you guys are here. Okay, we got Atlanta, Florida. I know Chrissy's in Southern California. Amber and I are both in Austin. Awesome. New Jersey. Okay, we got all the coasts covered.
That's awesome. I think we're the hottest so far, though. Oh, wait, no, someone was from Florida, you said.
Yeah. Yeah, they're probably right up there with us with the heat and the humidity.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so, okay, if you guys are just joining, we would just love to know where you guys are dialing in from. You can put it in the chat, and then I'm gonna go ahead and launch this poll. This helps Amber and I just get like a baseline of where everyone is. So as soon as you see this poll on your screen, please answer the one question. And then Amber, as people start answering it, I will read out some of the results.
Okay, fantastic.
Cool. Okay. Okay, so more people are joining. We'll give everyone a few more minutes and then we'll get started. You guys, thank you again so much for being here. All right. Okay, so far, Amber, 50% of the attendees are a new parent. And then 25% are expecting their first, and the other 25% are expecting their second or third. So we have some veteran parents on the line.
Okay, awesome.
Can you see the poll, Amber?
I can see the poll, but I can't see you anymore.
Okay, got it. I figured. Okay. We'll give everyone just like one more minute, Amber, and then we'll just start.
Sounds good.
Cool. Okay, so if you are just joining, let us know where you are dialing in from. We just love to know where everyone is located. Let's see where else we have people covered from. Let's see.
Oops.
Okay,
Did
so
my camera just switch?
I don't know.
Sorry, I'm trying to get your picture back up here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Reagan, who's in Florida, the heat index there is 110.
Wow.
Okay, so she's in the hottest location.
Yeah, that's rough.
And not something you actually are proud of winning. Oh, that's brutal. Reagan, are you one of the, oh, and we have someone also from Austin. Reagan, are you expecting your first currently? And if so, when is your due date? Hopefully it's not this hot. Let's see what she says. Okay, so Amber, the poll has like sort of shifted. So 33% new parent, 50% now are expecting their first, and 17% are expecting their second or third. So we have a really good mix of people on the line.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay. Okay, so Reagan's first was born June 26. Oh my gosh. So almost a month old, currently not pregnant in this heat. Yes, at least you can just stay inside bundled up. Okay, so let's get started. Thank you guys again. I'm gonna close this poll and we can launch it again at the end of the session. Okay, there you are. Hi.
Yay.
Okay. Yay, let's go. Okay, so thank you guys again so much for being here. My name is Sarah. I'm the founder of Populous. I think most of you on the line know that. And I am so honored to have Amber here with us today. Amber and I both are located in Austin. She is a friend of mine, but I also was a client of hers after she and I worked together when I was pregnant with my second, and I was a client for hers for about 5.5, 6 months after Zoe was born. So I believe in the tools and knowledge that she has and shares, and what she knows is a gift for new parents. And so we are just so thankful, Amber, for your time. And like, I just cannot wait for everyone to hear all the amazing things that you have to say. So I'm Sarah. Again, thank you guys for being here. Amber, if you'll just quickly introduce yourself, we will jump right into the content.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for having me. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner and a restorative wellness practitioner who specializes in women's health, everything from preconception and fertility support all the way through menopause, actually. So I have some menopausal clients right now. So what does that even really mean? It means women come to me feeling burned out, or they have hormone imbalance, or they have gut health issues, and I dig deep into their data, their lifestyle, what food are they eating, what supplements they're taking, things like that, their health history, and then I pair that with functional lab testing to get a good idea of what's going on. And then I build a food and supplement and lifestyle based protocol to help bring things back into balance. And so that looks different, depending what's going on with every client. But my favorite group of people to work with are actually postpartum. That is why I started my business initially, and you were obviously a postpartum client. It was so much fun. But that's what I do in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I meant to say this in the very beginning. I just want to like remind everyone that's on the call that this is not about like how we're going to get our newborns to sleep. This is how do the parents and the caregivers survive being in the fog of the newborn sleep deprivation? Like how do we get through it? So this is about mom and dad. This is not about the baby. Okay, so I just want to make sure like that's super clear. So if you joined thinking this was like a newborn sleep training webinar,
Yeah,
you're not
definitely.
in
I'm
the
not an
right
expert in
you're
that.
on the right spot.
My kids did not sleep well, so don't ask
This
me
is
for
for
this.
mom and dad. So just making sure everyone's in the right place at the right time. So, okay, Amber, thank you for that intro. This is the highest registered and attended webinar we've had. This is our sixth one. Well, before I ask this question, why your profession? Like, was there something specific in your life that made you change from an IT career to this? Can you share
Yes.
just like quickly what that was?
Yeah. So I actually used to work in tech and I loved my job, but I'm sure many who are on the call can relate. When you have children, it just changes everything. And that's basically what happened to me. So I had my first, he's 7 years old now. And I had 5 months of maternity leave, which was an awesome amount, but he slept terribly. And I didn't really prioritize my health in that time. I was really only focused on him. And when I went back to work at 5 months, it was a huge like wall in the face. It was so hard. He slept awful. I was up every 1.5 to 2 hours nursing him, and I didn't really know or feel comfortable like expressing my needs to my partner because I felt like I should be able to do it all myself. And that is what we're going to talk about that today. But so I basically my turning point is I went on a trip to San Francisco for work and I didn't sleep. It was a 5 a.m. flight. I don't remember even getting from the airport to the office. And I walked into the office, ran into a friend and just burst out in tears and told him I wanted to quit. I couldn't do this. I was so anxious. And that really was when I realized, like, okay, I think there's something deeper going on here. So I had postpartum anxiety after James. And it was really hard. And my lack of sleep, I know, was one of the contributing factors to me developing that postpartum mood and anxiety disorder. And there's just not any resources, out there for postpartum people. And I went back to work for a while. I got better with using holistic means and things, therapy, all of that. But I just lit a fire under me to really want to provide that for other women. And so that's what happened.
Awesome. Well, I'm sorry you went through that, and I don't think your story, even though you might have felt like you were alone and it was unique at that time, I know that it's not because it
Yeah.
resonates almost exactly with me. So thank you. And sorry for Atlassian, but we're so thankful that you chose this career because, like I said earlier, like what you do is a gift. And so I'm so happy for all these people to be able to hear you. So, okay, like I was saying, this is the highest attended webinar we have had
Yeah.
and registered webinar. Why? Like, what is it about this topic that is so important, and why is it resonating with so many people?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's so important because when we are not getting sleep, we really feel terrible, right? And I think everyone who is on this call can relate to that. Maybe they're first time parents or they're pregnant and they're not really sure what to expect. They know that sleep deprivation is going to be part of the process. And so, any amount of support you can give yourself to get better quality sleep is going to be so key. And so that's why I feel like it resonates so deeply. I just have to say, like, you may have signed up for this webinar thinking that you're going to get like a silver bullet. Like, I'm gonna give you something that's going to make you feel amazing. I have kind of good news and bad news about that. Like, the bad news is you're not going to sleep well for the first year, maybe even beyond that. My toddler slept crappy. But the good news is that it is temporary because you will sleep again eventually. And there are a lot of things you can do to support yourself in the meantime. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I hope everyone can walk away with a handful of things that they feel comfortable implementing that will help them feel a little bit better.
So is there data on sleep? Like how much
Yeah.
sleep should a new parent expect to lose? What does the data say,
Yeah,
if
so
any?
there are quite a few like studies out there. One of the ones that I pulled for this specific webinar is a recent one in 2022 done by Snooze, and they surveyed parents and found that 7 out of 10 parents lose an average of 3 hours of sleep every night in their baby's first year. So when you accumulate that all together, that's 133 nights worth of sleep that's sacrificed before your baby's first birthday. That is a like staggering amount of sleep loss, and you will feel that deprivation. And I tried to find stats on like beyond the first year, because I'm telling you, like, toddlers can also not have a great time sleeping, but there just wasn't a whole lot of information about that out there.
Right. Okay. Also, if any of you guys have questions throughout the next like half hour, please, please, please put them in the chat. We can answer them in real time. So if there's something you're like, oh my God, there's only 10 minutes left and Amber hasn't answered this, like I really would love to know X, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We will get them answered for you guys. Okay. So we're losing sleep. No
Yeah.
surprise. For the people who are currently going through it right now, because we have, brand new parents in the call, but also expecting people, what is happening to our bodies? What can they
Yeah.
expect to literally be happening to them while they are losing sleep? Like what's going on?
Yeah. So this could be a webinar topic all on its own. So I'm just going to keep it so short and just give you like the highlights of why sleep is so important. And I'm sure you guys intuitively know this, but when we are sleep deprived, then that's when we're going to see things like chronic fatigue creep in. We're going to see brain fog start to impact you, where you feel like you're kind of moving through that fogginess. You just cannot grab onto your thoughts. Irritability, like especially in that postpartum time frame, like rage, when you want sleep so badly and you can't get it. Stress hormone dysregulation is going to be impacted by lack of sleep. Your reproductive hormones are going to be impacted by a lack of sleep. Your appetite is definitely going to be impacted. It's going to make you crave carbs like crazy. It tanks our immune system, because our immune system is most active at night when we are getting that restorative sleep in. And I think a big piece is like it can build resentment, among people in the house, your support system. Like if you are the primary caregiver and you're not getting your sleep, then it can really build these negative feelings. And I guess lastly, one other thing is like to consider is it can make you more prone to like accidents. You can trip more, or when you're driving, like just not be, quite as alert as you normally were. But the biggest thing that I want to bring up is it is one of the biggest risk factors to developing a PMAD, which is a postpartum mood and anxiety disorder, right? So 1 in 5 birthing people will develop a PMAD, and 1 in 8 partners will also develop a PMAD in that first year. So this is a very important topic. I was 1 in 5. And that is depression, anxiety, OCD. There's lots of things that kind of roll up underneath that umbrella. So that's why this topic is so important to dive into.
Okay, but like what's so crazy is I have had 2 births now, 2 babies, 2 different doctors. One was born in San Antonio, one was born in Austin. No one, not even my postpartum nurses, said, Sarah, here is the list of things that you are going to feel when you get home in the first couple months, maybe the first year. Like it's so crazy that no one
Yeah.
said, here's all the things that are going to be happening to your body because you are going to be losing a significant amount of sleep. That was not a conversation that anyone ever had with me. And so I just literally felt like it was only hormonal based and that I was basically going crazy.
Yeah, that
I
is
mean,
so
there's not really
not,
a question other than like, it's just so funny to think. I mean, it's not funny at all. It's serious, but like no one had that conversation with me. The only conversation I had was, here's how to change, some stuff postpartum. Oh, and here's a lactation consultant. Those were like really the only two conversations I had after both my girls.
yeah. And that leads to you thinking that you're doing something wrong, or that you're like a bad parent, or you
Hmm.
aren't like doing your right job, or you should be able to do this better. Why can't you, get a hold of it? And that's just not the case, right? Everyone goes through this. It's totally normal. And the good news is, like, if when you have the information presented to you, then you can actually put some safeguards in place to like make sure that you feel a little bit better and you don't get to
Right,
that point of total depletion.
right. Okay, so also I'm going to be reminding everyone of things throughout this call because I think it's all important, but Amber put together an incredible document of literally every single talking point. So you can take notes if you are, but just know after this webinar, we're sending a really comprehensive post-webinar email that includes links, every talking point Amber is going to share today, everything you need will be on there. And again, please don't hesitate to put any questions in the chat. Okay, so we know why this topic is important. We know what the data says. We know how much sleep we're going to be losing. We sort of have a baseline understanding of what's happening in our bodies. For the people on the call who are currently pregnant, what are some things that they can start doing now, like in their environment and lifestyle, to better set them up for some success when their baby gets here? What do
Yeah.
you recommend people do now before their baby arrives?
Yeah. Okay. So this is with the part where we're going to really dive into recommendations. But I also, before we get in, so you mentioned the resources, but I also want to say, like, one of my things that I repeatedly beat into my clients is little hinges swing big doors. So I'm about to give you a giant list of things, and it is not to overwhelm you. It is to give you a buffet of sorts that you can pick the dish that makes the most sense and tastes the best to you and implement that consistently. And I promise, if you're able to do something consistently, even if it's just one thing, it will help you feel a little bit better. So I just want to preface that
Yes,
with
thank
this.
you.
So for pregnant people on the call, let's talk about environment and schedules and like pre-planning. So there's lots of things you can do from that sense. The first is consider schedule. So think ahead, and what are you going to do to get in a good chunk of sleep? So I like to tell parents to really try to take advantage of their baby's longest stretch of sleep at night. And it's usually that very first chunk. So after, in that very beginning, they're going to bed later at night, but they're going to increasingly go to bed earlier and earlier. So that might actually mean that they're going to bed at like 7 p.m. or even earlier than that, like 6 p.m. So if you are really sleep deprived, keep this in your back pocket, pregnant people. If you're really sleep deprived, then optimize for that time. And you should also be going to bed when they go to bed so that you can get that 5 hour chunk and then be ready to be up every 2 hours, after that. So it's not great and sexy to go to bed at 7, but sometimes like you just gotta, and remember this is temporary. So the other piece of it is science shows that our most restorative sleep happens between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. It's just the way our circadian rhythms are. It's how we evolved to be. Our immune system is active then, our digestion's resetting. It's like your body is taking a big, deep breath during that time. So if you can think ahead and plan for how are you going to optimize those hours to get the best quality sleep you can, maybe you're going to trade off with your partner, right? You're going to have a plan in place where they can get 10 to 2 and the next night you can. So just think forward about that.
What are those times again? Can you say them one more time?
10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the best time. All right. So the other thing is actually just like environmental blue light. So this is kind of a buzz word. People talk about this all the time. You see blue light blocking glasses and things, but they talk about it because it's true, right? So blue light from screens and our lightings, artificial lighting, it goes into our eyeballs and it tells our brains to produce cortisol and lower melatonin. That's not what we want, right? When we're sleeping, we want to optimize the sleep that we are getting. So if you can reduce the amount of blue light in your sleep area, And then try to avoid being on screens right before bed. But if you can't, then get yourself some blue light blocking glasses, which I actually have some right here. They used to be super ugly. They were like yellow, but now you can get like really cute ones. And so when you wake up in the middle of the night with your baby and you have the urge to scroll your phone, I'm not going to tell you not to do that, even though you shouldn't, but I did. Put your blue light blocking glasses on when you're doing it. And what else? Get outside, right? So we want to get sunlight in our eyes as early in the morning as we possibly can, because again, we're working with our circadian rhythms, and that is a signal to your brain to increase cortisol, reduce melatonin, and it just gets you on that right schedule. Also great for baby. So you can bring baby with you outside. I think 5 minutes, all you need in the morning, light on your face, no sunglasses. Bonus points, you can repeat that in the early afternoon, and that will just increase and reinforce. What else? So black light or light curtains that like block light out, that also kind of goes with the lighting. You can put that in your room too. And then in the middle of the night, you've got your blue light blocking glasses, but what about turning lights on so you can see, the baby, like change diapers? Have different colored bulbs. You can have like dimmers on. You could get like a salt lamp that's a very not blue light, like very calm lighting. That's going to be good for a baby too.
But for
So
pregnant people,
lights,
this still matters, right? Like optimizing their environment for sleep. If they are waking up constantly because they're uncomfortable, the blue light, the curtains, the glasses, all of this still matters before their baby gets here, right?
100%. All of this still matters. And it's great to get in the habit now so that when baby comes, you don't have to change anything. Like we don't want to have like big shifts, you're changing so much. Like let's just get it ready now to go. What else? So I like to tell people to make sure that they are sleeping in a sleep cave. We want to have our rooms to be, dark, cold, and cozy. So make that bedroom or area where your baby's going to be sleeping in near you very cozy. Like buy new bedding, like make it a place that you want to be, like inducive to sleep, but also make it really dark. We already talked about that. And then I think you all know this too. You'll get better sleep the colder it is in your room.
Yeah.
I mean, the optimal temperature is like 68 degrees, but here in Texas, they don't want us keeping our thermostats that low because of the energy issue, but keep it as cold as you can. Okay, so that's kind of
Okay.
the environmental piece. Go ahead.
The environmental piece for, okay. Is there
Just
anything
the
to add for the
room.
environmental piece for like
Um,
expecting parents?
expecting parents. I mean, those are kind of the big ones. So just try to get that all in place now so that when the baby's here, you can have it ready to go. But I have some things that are more like strategy based, less more lifestyle, less like actually changing things around you. Should we shift into that?
Um, we can, but I think we should shift into the baby is here
Yeah.
piece. Okay. So your guys' space is now optimized for like the best possible sleep. Your baby's here, and we have brand new parents on the line, like Reagan. Her baby's almost 1 month old. She's probably right in the thick of this newborn fog, sleep deprivation. What should new parents think about doing to get a little energy back in their tank? They
Yeah.
cannot avoid being as tired as they are. You and I have both been there. It's so effing hard. You
So
feel
it's so
like you
hard.
just can't hardly function or let alone put together a sentence. So, okay, great. My sleep environment is optimized to get sleep, fall back asleep faster. And Amber has a ton of suggestions that she can get into in that PDF document that we'll send with you guys. But what about brand new parents? What do they need to be doing during the day so they feel like they can take care of a newborn?
Yeah. This definitely falls into like the physical support. So now we're switching from environmental and lifestyle like strategy to how do we support the physical body to be resilient in the face of not getting sleep, because we know sleep's so important, right? Okay, and this is actually, I know we're talking about parents who already have babies, but this is great. All of these recommendations are great for pregnant people too. Just throwing that out there. Number one, my biggest thing is making sure that your blood sugar can stay as balanced as possible throughout the day. Just to make sure everyone has the same definition of blood sugar, when you eat carbohydrates, so that's going to be fruits, vegetables, of course, but also, breads, pastas, rices, those kinds of things. it turns into sugar in our system. And we use that sugar in our cells to create ATP, create energy. And that's where we get our get up and go from, right? So that's what blood sugar is. We see issues when blood sugar is too high or when blood sugar is too low or when you're swinging back and forth, too much. And sleep deprivation really lends well to the latter because it sets you up for a roller coaster ride of carbohydrate intake. And you're just like starting down this roller coaster and it feels terrible. We feel anxious, we feel tired, we feel, blood sugar can have just all these great outreaching impacts. So what can you do to balance your blood sugar? I have a handful of tips that are just specific to this. Number one is we want to avoid eating those naked carbohydrates. So those carbs like the breads, pastas, whatever, on their own. We want to pair them always with some protein and fat because that will bring that sugar spike down to a more neutral space. And that's really where we want to be. So I like to tell people just to start to build the neural pathway and train your brain to ask yourself, like, what's my protein source going to be before you eat anything, before you eat a meal, before you eat a snack. You train your brain, what's my protein source first? Then you grab that. Then you can have carbs and stuff along with it. But we want to make sure we're combining those carbs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want to add to that. So when I worked with Amber as a client of hers after my second born, I felt like of all the resources she gave me, which they were all amazing, the adding protein anytime I ate was the one like lowest hanging fruit for me that I could do. And I know we're going to get into some, a little jumping ahead, but it was also what I put my partner in charge of. Are there always hard-boiled eggs in the fridge? Are we stocked on beef jerky? Are we stocked on snacks? And I will say I noticed a humongous difference with my second. I didn't feel as like I didn't have such severe highs and severe lows because I focused on the protein intake. I never did that with my first. I just thought I just needed to eat to eat. I was pumping and breastfeeding. I was constantly hungry, but I never really thought much about what I was putting into my body. And I certainly did not know that protein balances your blood sugar. And so I learned all this with Amber, and I will say I noticed a significant difference. Everyone is obviously different, but although I was still tired, I felt more balanced, and my extreme emotional sort of like highs and lows didn't feel so drastic, and I just felt better. So I just want to like preface my own personal experience as a client of Amber's and let you guys know like the protein made a humongous difference. So I'm gonna stop there. You can keep going.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, so that's what happens when you're sleep deprived. When you don't get sleep, your body sends you more signals to eat carbs because it wants quick, fast energy. And so your brain is really telling you, like, I want to go have a cookie or whatever. And then you're going to feel that craving all day long because you're not eating enough protein. So this is having protein is also just a great way too, just to keep those cravings like at bay because you don't want to be craving sugar all day long. So protein, like that's my second tip is let's just make sure we are getting protein. Again, food combining, of course, but we want to get enough protein as well. So in your meals, when you are plating, can you use the signal of like the palm of your hand being like a good serving of protein? We want that at every meal. And again, just any snack that includes protein. Protein is good for mood stability. It's good for hormone building. It's good for breast milk production. If you're not getting enough protein, you know that can be an issue. So yeah, protein. And then what else with, I want to say breakfast too. So before we leave the protein train, if you are going to prioritize any food system or meal or time of eating when you're in this postpartum time or anytime you're sleep deprived, make sure it's breakfast. So if you only have the mental energy to really think about one meal, think about breakfast and make sure that breakfast is savory and make sure it's got like a lot of protein, 25, 30 grams, even up to 40 grams of protein, because again, that's going to set you up for success for the entire day. All right. So other things that you can do to balance your blood sugar before we leave this topic, another key one is, and this is not one that people like, avoid caffeine on an empty, dehydrated stomach. So this one hurts me too. I have to tell you, it hurts me too. But what happens when you are so sleep deprived and you roll out of bed and the first thing you do is go grab a big cup of coffee is number one, that's a dehydrating liquid. It's a diuretic. So you're already dehydrated. You just slept, didn't drink. We want to make sure we're getting water before we do that. But also caffeine stimulates our adrenals to create stress hormone, which is adrenaline and cortisol. And so you're getting these big spikes in the morning. And what do those things do? They raise our blood sugar so that we have energy. And we know now that we don't want our blood sugar to be spiking, right? So the tip here is eat before you have coffee in the morning. And again, I know this can be painful. If you can't do that though, second best tip is get some high quality collagen peptides, which is like a protein powder that's easily dissolvable in hot liquids. Get a milk, like a frother thingy majigger, and do a scoop of that in your coffee, if anything. Okay. I
Don't
think those are,
forget, you guys, to ask questions. Like, I also feel like this topic is so critical, but sometimes you don't know what to ask. So please don't be embarrassed if you're like, maybe this question doesn't fit in here. If
yeah,
there's anything on your mind about newborn sleep as a parent, listen, like Amber has said, there is no silver bullet. We are all still going to be tired, but all the things that she recommends, you will feel like you can get through the day
yeah.
a little bit easier. So please don't hesitate or feel embarrassed to ask any question.
Let's
Um,
do one. Go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
no, go ahead. I'm good.
Let's do one more blood sugar tip before we move on to some
Yeah,
of the other things, because the next one is around snacks. And I have, I know we want to make some suggestions around some easy, quick grab and go snacks. So a great way to keep your blood sugar stable too is eat every 2 to 4 hours, especially in that early postpartum time frame, because you're going to need lots of calories. You're going to need that energy. But again, you want some protein included in all of those meals and snacks. And I do have some favorite like suggested snacks that I always recommend for new parents. And should we dive into those right now?
okay, so we have two really good questions, yes and yes. But before, so
Yeah,
let's go back quickly to answer this question for like physical space and
yeah,
environment. Thoughts on red light for nighttime, red lighting and light bulbs for nighttime.
yeah. I think great. So we actually do that for my son for his nightlight is a red light. That is not going to stimulate that awakening response. So great.
Awesome. And then, okay, um, any tips? Okay, so yeah, let's go into snacks, but then I definitely want to make sure we address like how our partner can support us during this
Yeah.
time. But one person's asking any tips on good carb protein freezer snacks to prep ahead of delivery.
Oh yeah. Yes. Okay. Great freezer snacks. I love to make muffins, and you can actually go to the store. I'm a semi-homemade girl. I don't want to overcomplicate anything. Go buy yourself a muffin mix, like a Simple Mills muffin mix, and then scoop some protein powder into that mix. And you can add hemp hearts, you can add chia seeds. You can really boost the nutrition of those. Bake them, throw them in the freezer, and then you can pop those out, thaw them on the counter, or you can, pop in the microwave for like 20 seconds. Another thing is like energy bites. So you see this a lot on the new mom blogs, because they're good for lactation because they're oatmeal and you can add like brewer's yeast and things to them. But you can also add protein powder, right? So those energy bites are also really great for freezing. I also freeze pancakes. So
I was
similar
just
to the
going to say that.
muffins.
Add a scoop
Yeah,
of
you
protein
can
powder in the pancake mix.
100%. I mean, that's what I feed my kids actually in the morning. I make them on the weekends and then pop them out. So those are the good like freezer ones, but I mean, you can really freeze like anything for the most part, except for eggs don't turn out quite as well. But yeah, lots of baked goods are great for a freezer.
Maybe we can find a few suggestions and include them in the like recipes and include them in the post event email.
Sure. Yeah, that
Perfect.
sounds great.
Okay, awesome.
Um, Other grab and go snacks that I like that you don't have to prepare are things like chomps. So like their meat sticks, like beef jerky. And then one of my favorite protein bars is called Midday Squares. And they legit taste like a candy bar, I think. They're so good. They're not very sweet. They have fiber and they have protein. I love them. But there's other protein bars too that are good. Like Go Macro bars are good. There's another bar called Yes Bar that I like a lot, but Midday Square for sure, my favorite. Those like single serving cottage cheese, those are awesome. And now I have found they have fruit. They've got fruit. They're like yogurt cartons, but it's cottage cheese. So that is awesome. And then yogurt too, always go to have yogurt in your fridge. That's protein fat right there. Other things are like the hummus packets, and then you can dip crackers or veggies in that. And then what else? I mean, that's really kind of the big ones.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, these always go by so fast. We have 10 minutes left, which is like
Oh gosh,
crazy. So
do it.
again, you guys, please don't hesitate to ask any more questions. But I think one of the hardest things for me was when I had my first, I did not know how to like ask my partner for like explicit help because I just didn't know what I was going to need. I know better now because, I got basically a redo with Zoe. So I can share how I asked my partner for help, since I was the one predominantly feeding, getting up with the baby. Obviously, he assisted with diaper changes and stuff if he could, but like I was pumping, we've got breast milk. We don't always have the luxury to sleep long stretches. I never knew about the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. stretch is the most restorative. I wish I knew that with both of my
Yeah.
kids because then I would have asked, okay, I'm going to sleep for these 4 hours. I'll get up and pump, but I need you to do that feeding whenever she wakes up in those hours. But what do you tell some of your clients on how they can best communicate with their partner, like for really specific help that they might need because we're going to be so tired? We have to share this load. What are things our partner can do to help them?
Yeah. And it's also for the pregnant people on the call, let's get it talked about now. Have a strategy in place now. And of course, the strategy might shift once you're actually in the middle of it, but you don't want to be in a place where you guys have not talked about this at all. And then all of a sudden you're feeling that rage, against your partner. You want to have this in place. So just open communication and really sharing what you think you're going to need. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, not being afraid to ask for what you need. And you can share like reasons why, like postpartum depletion is a thing. You don't want to be depleted. You need sleep in order to get that. So what can your partner do? It's harder when you are nursing, because you just have to get up and like do the thing or pump. So you got to be a little bit creative. And I think this is where you kind of were like, you got your husband to like get your snacks ready and stuff. So things like that. Can they get your water filled? Can they change the diapers? Can they have your snacks ready for you? Can they make sure the environment is conducive? Like, can they take on all of the invisible load, kind of like menial things, so that you don't have to think about all of that stuff? Is that
Mm-hmm.
your experience, Sarah?
Yeah. So like with Zoe, he helped, wash the bottles, make sure our fridge was stocked. He did like the grocery store delivery, or he would put the food in and go pick it up. So he was responsible for things that like I just didn't have the capacity for because our priority, mine as the mom, the primary caregiver, was the newborn. So I was like, I'm gonna take care of Zoe. I need you to take care of me, and here are some specific ways that you can do that. The food was huge, helping clean the bottles, do the diaper changes. We had our newborn in our room for the first 4 months, so it wasn't like he had to go get her and bring her to me. She was right there in the bassinet. So, um, but there are a lot of specific things that may not seem obvious at the time that they can do. So I think Amber's point is, can you get ahead of it? Because when you are emotional and exhausted,
Yeah.
how you ask for help might change, and just make sure they know what
Yeah.
you need ahead of time. And also you can just preface anything in the first year of a newborn saying anything I say is not personal. Okay, I am sleep deprived, therefore I'm experiencing all of these things in my body. I know you're tired too, but here are all the ways I need you to help me get through this as a family.
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, so we have 5 more minutes. I haven't seen any other questions come in, so you guys please put them in if you have any. Amber,
Yeah, there are two things that I
are
feel like
we
I cannot get off this call without.
go? I know what you're gonna say. Go.
Stay hydrated, okay, you guys? Like, drink enough water during this time. Nutritional therapy says 50% of your body weight is the rule in fluid ounces every day, more if you are nursing, and you do need electrolytes in order to uptake that water. Those things, electrolytes are things like sodium, magnesium, potassium. They are minerals that help your body use water. You want that in your water. So the easiest way to do that is just like a really high quality sea salt. You just put a little pinch in your big glasses of water. That's Mother's Nature's electrolytes. The more fun way to do that is a powder, like element powders, like the Element packets or Redmond's Relay or whatever. But sometimes when you're tired, all you really need are electrolytes. So I definitely recommend in the afternoon, if you're feeling a lull, go have an electrolyte packet and see if that helps. So that's the other thing. And then the last thing that I have to include is just like make sure you stay on your prenatal for all of the pregnant folks on this call, do not stop with nutritional support because you are depleted after you have a baby and you're going to need that. So stay in your prenatal or switch to a postpartum, mixture like support. Those are kind of my top ones.
Is there any brands that you like off the top of your head for
Yes.
postpartum, postnatal?
Yeah, actually, I have some. Actually, I'm looking over it. So I Am Nurtured is my favorite brand right now. They are one of the only high quality supplements where you only have to take 3 pills. So most of those like food-based ones, you're taking like 6 pills a day, and who wants to do that? So this one's like a 3 pill formulation. But the other brand that's really good is I Am Needed. They both have these names like I Am Nurtured, I Am Needed, but they are very good too.
Okay. I don't know. Okay, just quickly run through again or we'll put it in. Kelsey, I think maybe this was an accident, but asked the same question. Any tips on good carb plus protein freezer snacks? So we'll put that in the post-event email, unless you want to just rattle through those extremely quickly again, in case she didn't hear you.
Yeah, so baked goods are my go-tos. I will buy like mixes at the store, like Simple Mills is my favorite brand, and I add protein to that, hemp hearts, chia seeds, bee pollen, stuff you can increase the nutrition. Then you bake them, freeze them. They thaw really well. Pancakes, energy bites are really great to freeze. So stuff like that, you can just grab and go.
Okay, cool. And we can put those in the post-event email. Okay. Anything else you want to say to our group before we part?
I mean, I just have to go back to reiterate little hinges swing big doors. So please don't feel like you have to do every single one of the things. And I had more that we didn't get to. So you don't have to do all this stuff, right? It's really what sounded good to you that you feel like you can implement, and just focus on those handful of things. And that's going to go a long way in making you feel less zombie like,
Yeah.
in that first
The
year.
3 things that I did after we worked together and after my second was prioritizing the protein. I made sure that my sleep environment, even though I was next to Zoe in the bassinet, was like so optimized. Like I had my sleep mask, I had snacks in my drawer, I had my water bottle, I had like a nicer new pillowcase. Like I made it a place where I wanted to fall asleep, but I also try to make it a space where I could fall asleep faster. So like Amber said, it was pitch dark in there. I had a low red light. Like I actually use a salt lamp. So those are really nice. And I actually recommend this on the registries because you can reuse it anywhere. So it has a dimmer. So as anytime I had to get up in the middle of the night with Zoe to feed, I would just turn that little salt lamp up a little bit, and it was always low, and it's like a pinkish reddish light. So how could my space be a place where I didn't fear nighttime, because it is such a dreaded part of the day, because you know you're going to be getting up and it is so hard. So like, how did I make that environment a place where I wanted to fall asleep but could fall asleep faster? So we optimized like the physical environment where I was sleeping, with the protein, and then we went through so many electrolyte packets. So those were the 3 things, which Amber gave me a list of like 100. You guys, like there are so many things you can do to not feel like you are just like crawling through the hours when the sun is up. There are things you can implement, like Amber has said, to feel a little bit better. So like she has said, take the lowest hanging fruit. What is the easiest for you and your family to implement right away, pregnant or if you're a brand new parent, and go do that. And let us know if you notice a difference, because it's such a hard phase, but there are small things that we can do. And yeah, and I wish everyone had your knowledge, Amber. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, we didn't get to quite everything. So I feel like the email that you're going to send is going to be really valuable because the list is going to be there,
Yes.
and there's other free resources there for y'all that you can, open up and look at and see if there's something else I didn't mention that sounds good to you.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you, Amber, and thank you to everyone for being here. And we'll see you next Friday for how to play with a newborn.
See
All right,
ya.
bye, you guys. Thank you.